Apparently, my friends, public opinion in the United States is not very happy with the decision of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. From ideologues to Secretary Rubio himself, to Scott Benson and several authorities, influential people, because they saw in this decision, they don't trust, especially Rubio, they don't trust Ignacio, they don't trust Marco Rubio. It wasn't any kind of agreement, it was more like a trick, something like that. We're going to approve the amnesty here, which they call dosimetry. But first you take Magnitsky away from Zandon. First you remove Magnitsky so we can really see that it's going to work. The President of the United States is facing heavy criticism. Why? In a way, and that's what we're observing. He ended up helping cruel dictators carry out all this wickedness. You'll see, here I'll show you the issue with President Bolsonaro. Trump is going to face a very complicated path because this has never been done before in the history of the United States. Someone sanctioned in a short time to stop being sanctioned by violating human rights, which is what the Magnitsky Act was created for. I'm gonna show everything here. No beating around the bush. Hit that like button, smash that like button, share this video with more and more people.
Guys,
I'm stopping by here before starting several videos. This product here, Slim Fair. I lost at least 18 kilos in under 2 months and haven't weighed myself in a week and a half. In 1 month, I lost 10 kilos, and after nearly 2 months, I've lost 18 kilos. Sometimes we have that habit, I always do it. Sometimes there's leftover food from the kid, leftover from my wife, and you go there and finish it. I had already reached 105 kilos. 105 kilos. I'm showing you the images here. They're from a few months ago. And one of our followers, our follower here, ended up recommending this product to me. I got in touch with the people and everything, and I'm making it available here because I took it. It helped a lot, especially since we have to do all that planning to lose weight and everything. Sometimes it's complicated. The rush of daily life, it helped me a lot. So, if you need it, right? Losing a few pounds to have a better quality of life, there's nothing better than Slim Fair. I had my own experience. You can see, look, my appearance has changed. Clothes that didn't fit me anymore. I showed the example with the pants that day, guys. Look at this one too. All of them. And these shorts didn't fit either. None of them fit. Slim Fair helped a lot. We lose inches quickly. Of course, you also need to have a little willpower, but I'm sure that all of you who have a goal will have it as well. It helped a lot. Do you want the chance to have an amazing product? A little fizzy powder? Just to wrap up here, you put it in water. After you've had that greasy meal, guys, take it. It's really worth it. Honestly, it's an amazing product. It worked for me, and I'm sure it will work for you too. Sometimes we find ourselves in a tough situation, right? We want to lose weight, and it's really hard. This product really helps a lot. It's called Natural Manjaro. No injections or anything like that. Nothing artificial. It will help you lose inches. It's here. The consequences. Moral. Authorizes Bolsonaro to undergo a medical examination at the federal police headquarters. Does it make any sense for the federal police to do something like this? It is also a medical apparatus of serious diseases, right? Just like President Alexandre de Moraes authorized Jair Bolsonaro to undergo medical exams at the federal police headquarters. The authorization grants a request made by the defense to allow Dr. Bruno Luiz Barbosa Chiruli to enter the premises with portable equipment. A portable ultrasound device to perform ultrasound exams on the inguinal regions, right and left groin. Any criminal, whether barefoot, in flip-flops, even the most dangerous one in this country, if they don't run away, they never return, and the federal police don't pursue them. Andre du REP, for example, right? André do REP still free to this day. They have access, of course. They have health insurance, access to the best hospitals that good old capitalism can pay for. Bolsonaro has to use a portable device there at the federal police headquarters. I wonder if it has all the, let's say, strictness in terms of, let's say, cleanliness. Are there uncontaminated places like a hospital has at the federal police headquarters? In his decision yesterday, Nemores emphasized that, as determined in previous rulings, visits from doctors do not require prior notice. In other words, you take a portable device, bring it to Bolsonaro, just to,
Put it there for me.
That's it. Because they are the best people. The best people. There. Another news here. The Supreme Federal Court denies definitive authorization for family visits to Bolsonaro. Alexandre de Moraes denied the request made by President Bolsonaro's lawyers to obtain permanent authorization for the chief executive's family members to visit the federal police superintendency. The defense argues it would be faster if registered relatives received automatic authorization instead of involving the Supreme Federal Court weekly. However, Moraes pointed out that there is no reasonable reason to change the rules established by the federal police superintendency. Lula received more than 500 visits. No minister has ever overruled it. Janja came in as a lawyer, and as a lawyer, there was never any problem either. There were several, but not here. President Bolsonaro's family is asking for Lula's relatives. It wasn't from all political spheres, especially those linked to the left, from all over the world, who went in there, including Ling Zanato during all that time there. The Movimento dos Trabalhadores Rurais Sem Terra, at the door of the federal police, there in Curitiba. This is one of the saddest things we are seeing. And they still want to tell us, to label us as the wicked ones, the evil ones, the rural ones. It's just absurd. It's absurd. So, friends, what did I say about public opinion? Mario Malfon, who's a journalist, a friend of Elon Musk, he posted this on his X. The suspension of sanctions against Judge Alexandre de Moraes by the United States was the final blow to Brazilian democracy, the final blow. Even Trump's advisor was arrested by federal police in Brazil. With all due respect, the President of the United States has no idea what he just did. He simply put the people he always admired. He always had great affection for him. He always liked him a lot. Because the left hates the United States. Here in Brazil, the left abhors. The left hates the United States. We don't. We have always had great affection and still do for the United States. That was Barbara. Look here. Just 5 months ago, the United States imposed sanctions on the head of Brazilian censorship, Alexandre de Moraes, for imprisoning dissidents, censoring social media, and acting as a one-man Supreme Federal Court. In other words, just his. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. He's among the top journalists there, okay? The sanctions were simply suspended, and the Brazilian tyranny was forgotten, like last season's scandal. For Brazilians who see their country sliding into an authoritarian regime, this feels like betrayal, you see. The Americans noticed sanctions were imposed. For a moment, it seemed like someone finally cared about us here, and that moment has already passed. The excuse, trade negotiations, and a vague political amnesty that won't happen. You know what Lula will do. Here's what Lula will do. He promised that he would do something about this issue. As for the amnesty, he's going to drag his feet. It's not going to happen, because he knows it would look really bad. For Trump to come back now with amnesty again, with sanctions again, Lula knows. So, the deal must have been, look, First you go there and remove the magnetic one, then we'll see what to do. Remove the magnetic one there. It looks bad for Trump to return with the magnetic one. He'll say, hey, what's this? What kind of joke is this? Take it out, put it in, and take it out, put it in, and take it out. What will Lula do next? That's a fact. He's going to drag this thing out as much as he can, and see how things unfold over time. Suddenly, what he does is, he starts attacking Trump again, insulting Trump. No one messes with me. People speak softly to me and all that. You don't negotiate with communists. There's no difference with communists. The result, look here, huh? The Supreme Court, loyal to Lula, remains consolidated. The dissidents remain afraid, and the United States leaves the Brazilian pro-democracy movement adrift. To be clear, this was not just a slap in the face of freedom of expression. It was the definitive confirmation of the new Brazilian reality. Courts that answer to power, not to the law. The people who risk their lives to protest just received the message loud and clear. You're on your own. The Brazilian middle class is already disappearing. Inflation is eating away at salaries, investments are fleeing, and poverty is settling back in like mold. The government offers cash assistance as if it were the solution, but it only makes the debt situation worse. That's how Argentina collapsed. About Peronism, exorbitant spending, no growth, and an entire generation paying the price. But the real nightmare is what's happening with Brazilian institutions. Congress is now just noise. Lula's Supreme Court does the heavy lifting, approving questionable decrees and crushing dissent. It's starting to look less like pre-Milei Argentina and more like Venezuela, just with a more attractive visual identity. Judges act like kings, critics are criminalized, and no one knows who will be next. And now that the United States has withdrawn, there's no external pressure. With no lifeline, no leverage, Brazil needs a miracle, but Venezuela needed one too, and it never happened. These 4 photos capture the moment well. Ana Paula, I brought the information that Rubio and Secretary Scott Bassett were against lifting the sanctions on Moraes because he is a human rights violator. The terms are not yet known, but there are people in the White House who are not happy. We need to wait and see how this terrible news for Brazil unfolds. Let's hear what Paulinha has to say now.
Paula, in light of the revocation,
today I went back to my sources, and today I can't confirm or even speculate about the possible terms for this revocation. I don't have that information. What I know is that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bassett, they were against this revocation. So much so that Scott Bassett and others from the Treasury Department, they even went on social media. This week, they responded to a Republican congressman questioning the possibility, and the Treasury Department made it very clear that it was against any possibility. The possibility of revoking the Magnitsky, because we are dealing with a human rights violator. What's on the table, nobody knows. It worries me a lot because many people are saying that the Magnitsky has never been revoked. Yes, it has already been revoked, even by President Donald Trump himself, who revoked the Magnitsky against the former president of Paraguay. And now we need to try to understand over the weekend and next week what is at stake.
Venezuela.
Maduro, Taiwan, China. It's a complicated geopolitical context. Since this week, for example,
And it's a fact, both Rubio and Scott Bassett, we saw it, right? What caused it? I don't think it's only about rare earths. He wanted to stop that, and there were probably many promises. Just so you have an idea, JBS y Sociedade Anônima, that guy André Esteves from BTG Pactual and so on, they were all promised things. So the main issue wasn't even Talifacio, okay? They weren't worried about Talifacio, were they? They needed to get Alexandre de Moraes out of this situation. Even so they could be stronger with Minister Uhul, the violator, right? Of human rights, yes. Oh, of course. All the politicians, the most corrupt ones in this country, had all the most dignified treatment they could have when they were in that situation. Now, the only politician who didn't steal a single cent from your pocket, on the contrary, Brazil was thriving, and everyone knows that. This guy has to get an ultrasound with a portable device. If not, it's so the worst doesn't happen to Bolsonaro. I can't understand what these actions are for, since we know that bad people don't have them, right? Sense, I mean, of what's right and wrong, but what does Alexandre de Moraes gain from this for so much evil? But public opinion in the United States has already been turning. Look, clearly, as I showed here, people inside the White House are not happy. It was a shot in the foot by Trump because he has no idea how to handle it. Maybe I'll tell you, Brazil, the Brazilian people, are one of the countries that admire the United States the most. Outside of the country, outside Americans, the amount of affection we have for the United States, the amount of admiration we have for the American people. I openly say I love the American people, and have a lot. I'll say it here. We will wait. There's still a lot to happen. Share this video on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, like it, and subscribe to join our family. I'll be back soon, okay? There's lots of news today on Domingo.